You've replayed it in your head 100 times. You know what you want to say. You even practiced it in the shower. And then the moment comes and you say nothing, or everything comes out wrong. Today, Suzette is going to help us understand why that keeps happening and what to do about it. Welcome to Unafraid Living, the podcast that helps you fear less and live more. I'm Kim. I'm here to ask the questions you're probably thinking.
And I'm Coach Suzette, a certified brain health professional and life coach. I'm passionate about helping you quiet fear, build confidence, and live the life you truly want. Hey friends, Suzette here, your brain health professional. If fear or anxiety has been ruining your life lately, our Unafraid course was built for you. The Unafraid course helps you retrain your brain to move out of fear and into resilience, one small shift at a time with proven, practical, and simple tools. Affordable options let you work at your own pace or join me in our private community, all for less than most therapy sessions. No more excuses. Be your own advocate and sign up for the course at unafraidcourse.com to start rewiring your brain today.
Welcome back to Unafraid Living. Today we are starting our new series.
Say it unafraid, because we all get tongue-tied when there's a hard conversation we need to have.
We're going to be discussing communication and why it feels so risky. Why are we talking about risky conversations and why we've been avoiding them?
Well, communication is one of those things that we have no choice but to participate in.
Right?
Yeah. But for some, it might actually feel more like a necessary evil. Well, if that's even such a thing. But we're talking about it because some of us have a history of feeling unheard, maybe minimized, or maybe worse yet, misunderstood. Mm-hmm. So we get anxious and we feel unsafe even when we want to speak up.
So you've replayed conversations in your head, guilty, avoided hard talks, guilty, and worried that saying the wrong thing could damage a relationship.
Yes, I know I've had those feelings. And so I'm going to share what I've learned, and it's all about building mental muscles. So while none of us are ever going to be perfect communicators, understanding why communication feels risky or why we stay silent is the first step to growing our communication skills.
All right, let's start there. Why does communication feel so hard?
Sometimes we don't struggle with communication because we don't know what to say. We struggle because we're afraid of what saying it might cost us.
Right, like being misunderstood or rejected or maybe even starting a fight.
Yeah, or being seen as difficult or emotional or maybe even needy or disappointing someone. The people pleaser in me, oh my gosh, it hates that. So instead of saying what we mean, we soften it up a bit. We hint at it, or we just avoid it altogether.
Yeah, but usually it comes out anyway, right?
Yeah.
And usually not in the best way or even how we intended it to come out.
Yeah, exactly. Communication isn't hard really because of the words. It's hard because relationships matter.
They do.
And we have this preconceived idea of what the outcome is going to be. We're fearful, and our brain feels that.
Oh, pesky brain. So what's going on in our brain when the communication feels risky or hard?
At a basic level, your brain is constantly asking one question. Am I safe right now? If both parties are not feeling safe, you're walking on eggshells. Or even if one party, even if you just aren't feeling safe right now, you're still walking on eggshells. It's not maybe quite as bad if you're both walking on eggshells, but it's still pretty bad. So when a conversation feels emotionally charged, your brain doesn't experience it as neutral. It experiences it as a potential threat.
Really?
Well, yeah. What's going to happen next? Like if I say this, what's going to happen?
Even if there's no danger or threat.
Well, it's not physical danger, but emotionally there is threat. And that's generally what we're fearing is that emotional vulnerability. Is there going to be a fight? Am I going to feel shut down again? You know, all those things go through our head. Especially in close relationships, your brain associates connection with safety and belonging. So tension feels bigger, faster, and more personal.
So that explains why small disagreements, I won't even say arguments, with a partner or somebody close to you, even a friend, they can feel so intense.
Right. Your nervous system. Oh, your nervous system.
Yes, that too. Your brain and your nervous system. Thank you.
Your emotions, which, by the way, energetically, it's not really from your brain. They radiate from your heart, not your brain. And your brain gets involved later with logic. But first, those emotions flow from the heart. And so that kind of even makes it more personal.
That makes sense. And on the outside, of course, everything looks fine, but we're pretending, aren't we?
Right. So avoiding conversations. We avoid the conversations to keep the peace. And boy, my goodness, that hits close home with me. I am such a people pleaser. I hate it, but I have to fight it. But those mental muscles are building, so I don't overthink as much. But still, fear of being accused or wanting to start a fight. I don't want to be accused of wanting to start a fight. So sometimes I still just stay quiet.
And that doesn't seem like an optimal solution.
Absolutely not. So everything looks fine because we're just not talking about it. But on the inside, tension builds because we don't want to talk about that thing. It's hard. Yeah. And maybe we don't agree, but we're not going to speak up because that's too risky. So eventually, though, what happens? It builds up, right? Frustration, shutdown, resentment. And when we're done with that resentment, the sarcasm, the emotional explosion, all of those things can follow. When we live suppressing our hurt feelings on the inside, our hurt feelings are even just our feelings that are different than somebody else's, we eventually move into a more active feeling toward that person or group. So the more negative feeling toward that person or group.
Suppressing hurt feelings and keeping quiet just because you're trying to avoid something is so not beneficial.
So not good. Yeah, it doesn't build trust, that's for sure. But it's a human response when we feel unsafe. It takes mental muscles to overcome what we're feeling and begin to operate objectively and with confidence. So when we really want to communicate more effectively, I think what my counselor said to me was, you got to have some balls. Yeah, he was accusing me of having no balls, and it was so true. Say I would just cry. He assured me that I was capable and strong, which I didn't feel at all. But he said I had to choose to live in it, whether I felt it or not. So I told him I just couldn't because I'd start crying. He said, well, don't do that anymore. What a guy response, right? I was actually kind of mad when he said that. And I really thought that he was like a man who just doesn't understand females. But you know what? I was wrong because I practiced. I worked really hard to follow through with what he was saying was truth.
Right.
And now, after a lot of hard work and learning to choose to believe that I was strong, because that's what he was really trying to enforce in me, and he did it, I can hold my own. I don't cry all the time. And when people disagree, it doesn't shut me down. I don't take it personally if they're defensive. I'm okay that they see things differently, and I just believe that we don't have to agree.
That is a good, I want to say saying, but it's a good thing to believe in, that you don't have to agree.
Agree to disagree.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the saying. It's much easier, to work on a goal or even a viable solution if we allow each other to be themselves. If we allow our team or our friends or our spouse to differ in what they truly believe, we get better solutions. So it's really the only way that we can do life together because we're never going to agree on everything.
For sure. So let's discuss what you mean by healthy communication.
Right. So communication that is honest and kind and clear without being cruel. It's calm without being silent, and it's not about winning or being right, and it certainly isn't going to be perfect. Healthy communication is full of grace. That's probably the key. What I mean by that is staying open-hearted and open-minded and just giving each other a break for not saying things right, for not feeling like you're on the same team for a moment, but getting clarification and giving grace. going, you know what, you said that wrong. You didn't, and believing them when they say, oh, no, I didn't mean that. But how often do we just stick on that, thinking, no, you said that wrong. That was bad. Now we're on
we
two
know what
different
you
teams.
meant.
Yeah, exactly.
And
you wouldn't have said it if you didn't mean it.
Right. Where did that come from? But anyway.
I know. It's terrible.
None of us are perfect. And just like you said, none of our communication is going to be perfect either. So we all need to be given a break or a little bit of grace.
For sure. And being willing to be temporarily uncomfortable to achieve the connection and the understanding, but not necessarily agreement.
Right.
So if we can do that, I would say that's healthy communication.
I would agree. So you have a framework that really helps with communication. Can you share that with us?
Yes. Every conversation has 3 levels. You don't hear people talk about this much, but level 1 is words, the what was said. Level 2 is the story, what we think those words mean about us or the relationship. And that's where things can go sideways fast because we all too often make assumptions.
Yes.
And level 3 is safety. Does my body feel calm or does it feel threatened right now? When communication goes sideways, it's usually not the words. Isn't that interesting? It's not usually the words, it's the story and the sense of safety underneath.
I have to say this. When it comes to texting and reading things, this goes, like you said, really sideways. And it's very, very hard, especially when you're not face-to-face to see, body language and eye contact and all of that stuff. Do you have any kind of golden nuggets or tips for communication on texting?
Oh, my. I've learned the hard way that extra grace is really needed with texting because it's so fast. It's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And people don't edit their texts.
Right.
So we don't even know that we said something that was just crazy. Oh my gosh, that is, you leave out a not and that means that we do, right? It's the opposite.
Yeah.
And so that's one place where I don't know what to say is the best way to handle that, except for just believe what people have to say after you've gotten a text that felt maybe hurtful or wrong or
combative or something.
Yeah, get clarification. That's my one word of advice with texting. Okay, get clarification.
Okay.
I guess it's 2. 2 words.
Yeah, that's 2 words. But also, what about the way we read it? I mean, I feel like for the majority, most of us probably read it in the wrong way. Instead of in a happy, nice light, we're reading it as mean and, I don't know, just not good.
Yeah. Well, that's mental muscles because mental muscles help us see things positively. They help us to look at the world and look at people with the best intent instead of the worst. But sadly, a lot of people see things with the worst intent. And so when you do that and you want to believe the worst, I mean, maybe you don't want to, but you do believe the worst all the time, then it's really difficult.
Maybe going back to one of our previous episodes on kindness would be helpful in that.
Absolutely. Yes. And to think about other people kindly and get that clarification. Get the clarification.
Get clarification. Maybe we should rename this. Get clarification.
Yeah, really. Although, I think in real life, getting clarification, you still end up misunderstanding each other, right? So that grace is still needed. So thinking people are on your team instead of against you. I mean, when I was doing marriage coaching, I did a lot of it at one point in time. I was doing seminars all over the place. And that was a phrase we used all the time, is that think about your partner as being on your team. Because when you do that, you take things that could be taken completely wrong in a different way. And it doesn't put you at odds and into a fight.
That's right.
Same thing goes with texting.
Okay, thank you. That was a good golden nugget there. All right, Suzette, give our listeners something that they can practice.
Naming your intentions. So naming your intentions before you actually go into it, before you say your words, name the intention in your own heart and then name it out loud. Mm-hmm. So if you name it in your heart first, you're going to say it better.
Okay.
So how about I'm on your team, since that's what we were just talking about. I'm on your team and we're working toward the same goal, right? Mm-hmm. And that's where you need to agree. Are we really working towards the same goal? And that's usually yes. That is typically a yes. We want the same thing if you can get outside of the middle of the conversation and into a bigger goal. Mm-hmm. Then you can find the yes. You find the place to agree. Or you could say something like, please understand my intention here. I want to be heard and understood, even if you don't agree. And I want to understand where you're coming from too. Mm-hmm. So that kind of thing, you're asking them to give grace to you and offering them grace.
Right. That makes total sense.
Yeah. So that alone, it can lower defensiveness. And if it doesn't, you might just need to walk away and try again another day. Sometimes that's necessary. But if it's a cycle, this happens all the time, find support to help you grow in strength. Because if you're in a relationship where this is happening a lot, mm-hmm. you've got to have some mental stamina, some strength to be able to face this and figure it out. Figure out how you're going to get through it. Sometimes they have a problem and it doesn't really matter what you do. It's going to be this way. So how do you stay strong in that? How do you live with grace and stay strong and be kind, even if they're not responding the way you'd like them to, with grace? So maybe when your mental muscles beef up, you'll be able to stand your ground calmly long enough to make a difference, or just let it go.
Very wise. We're naming the intention before we start, correct?
Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Then what's next?
Oh, well, if you can trade mind reading for curiosity, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
So much of our communication issues would never come about if, instead of assuming something, we just asked questions. Can you help me understand what you meant by that? Or what was your intention there? Because that really stung.
Yeah, mind reading. That's a hole that you probably don't want to step in. And,
yeah, because it could be a what do you call it? A landmine.
A landmine.
Landmine.
Things can blow up.
Oh, yeah.
All right, next tip.
Okay, if you freeze or you ramble, because those are two reactions that often happen to us when we're in the middle of a disagreement or a tough conversation. Mm-hmm. So just stating a clear truth, like, I'm feeling nervous to say this, but this matters to me. And then going on. Or maybe, I'm noticing that I'm shutting down. Could we pause and come back to this? Or how about, could we take a break? I'm just brain dumping here. Sometimes we're rambling, and mm-hmm. I'm just brain dumping here and I need to lock in before I go on. It can help. So that one sentence, it can change the tone of everything.
So true. Tone. Tone is so important, uh-huh. which is missing in texting, of course.
Right. Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about the next episode that we're going to put out on this series. Mm-hmm. We're going to be talking about understanding how people process differently and why questions and silence and delays are getting misunderstood so easily.
Oof, yes. My husband and I, we communicate, we process so differently, and it has caused a lot of issues. I want to talk out loud. I want to bounce things off other people and get mm-hmm. their input. He's an internal processor. But even with internal and external processing, there's nuances to each one. I want feedback. Some people want to externally process. They don't want any feedback. So yeah, that's what we're going to talk about, and talk about ways to navigate that.
That one I think is going to be very helpful, especially in learning how communication works and how to communicate with your friends, family, and partner.
Yes. So the takeaway from today is communication doesn't start with perfect words. It starts with safety and grace.
You mean I don't have to say everything I'm thinking?
That could be its own episode, I think.
That's true.
I think it's important to say here, sticking to your topic is so important. We didn't go into that in this episode, but if you can just stick to the one thing that you're talking about and not pull in other stuff, it solves a lot of communication issues. So that's one step, one brave step toward clarity for that piece that you're trying to figure out right now. So for this week, just take one brave step. Get clarification. Your brain and your relationships will thank you.
Thank you again for joining us. We hope you're walking away with something that helps you feel a little calmer, a little more confident, and a lot more free.
And if you're ready to go beyond just listening and start living unafraid, come join me in the Unafraid course. You'll find all the details at unafraidcourse.com.
And follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. And we're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. And be sure to check all the show notes for any links.
Your brain is listening, so fear less. Keep calm, live more, and listen on.